All right, Beck, let's have some fun with this. I'm doubting you've seen the Athletics list of the top
No, I have
25
not.
players, so that's why this part is fun. I have. Let's just see, and you can just name them individually, how many LSU players you think made this list. It's the last 25 years, so starting with the 2000 season. We've played 25 of them. So who do you feel good about being on the list?
Burrow and Daniels.
Burrow and Daniels are both on the list. You want to throw a guess as to the range where they might fall?
I would say Burrow is probably in the top 5.
He is. He's number 4.
And Daniels probably in the top 10.
No.
Maybe 15, top 15?
Nope.
Wow, okay. So he's like in the 20s?
He's 21.
Okay.
And if you look at this list, you think about the year we watched Jayden play, and it was amazing. This list is full of dudes. Like, there's some really good players. I read you Terrell Suggs' stats just a second ago, and that's not someone that would immediately pop to my name.
No.
In one season, he had 31 tackles for loss and 24 sacks. Not a career.
Yeah, and
in a season.
And they only played less games than they do now.
So like it's he was pretty good. So it's guys like that maybe you wouldn't quite recall. I mean, we all know how good Larry Fitzgerald was, and he's on this list, and Ndamukong Suh. So like there's just Jayden had a great year, and it was awesome, but it's tough to make the list. So those two, do you feel like there's another?
Maybe Glenn Dorsey.
Very good guess. I think worthy, not on the list.
Yeah.
Glenn won every award you can win for a national championship team.
It's crazy to think that I don't expect to see Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson on the list because Joe Burrow takes that year.
Yeah, Devontae Smith made the list round 10 somewhere, and then Larry Fitzgerald made the list, and I don't remember another wide receiver on the list. I think those are the only 3. Larry Fitzgerald's 11. Devontae Smith is 13, and I don't remember another wide receiver. I'll keep scrolling, but do you think there's another one?
I would guess no.
There is one more.
Okay.
So now you have the opportunity to guess.
Patrick Peterson.
Patrick Peterson is not on the list. Very, very good player. And I would suggest this will get pushed back. I would suggest that Glenn Dorsey and Patrick Peterson were quote unquote better players, down in and down out, than this guy.
Okay.
But he made the list.
And
I think that
Tyron Matthew?
That's it.
Yeah.
Tyron is number 24 on this list.
Okay.
Now, I want to be very clear. I am not in any way disparaging Tyron Matthew when I say that.
And I was thinking, I'm like, okay, it's going to be Burrow and Daniels for sure. And then I was like, okay, then you got to go back to that around that era is Patrick Peterson, maybe Tyron Matthew, maybe Glenn Dorsey. I was not thinking it would be Tyron Matthew for the reason you said, as terms of like.
I mean, if I'm going to put somebody on Julio Jones, I'm going to put somebody on Amari Cooper. I want Patrick Peterson covering those dudes.
Yes.
I'd rather Derek Stingley or Morris Claiborne covering those dudes. But and I say this as a words nerd. Unique gets thrown out just all over the place all the time, and it's improperly used. He's the most unique. He's very unique. He's kind of unique. Like, it's either unique, it's one, or it's not. That's the only way unique works.
Or you say like once in a generation or something like that.
Yeah, the generational player kind of irritates me too, because that whatever. But Tyron Matthew, as a college football player, to me, unique. I've never in my life seen anybody play college football like that. He simply would take the ball away from the other team. Not like it happened one time, like all the time. Took the ball away from the guy in the Arkansas game, took the ball away from the guy in the Georgia game. Kentucky game, he comes ripping off the edge and swipes the ball away from the quarterback and goes and scores a touchdown. West Virginia game, he gets back there, bats it away. Then you factor in the kick returning aspects of it, where he returned the punts against Arkansas and Georgia that completely flipped those games. Like, I'm not arguing that Tyron Matthew shouldn't be on this list. I'm perfectly accepting of him being on this list. I think he made the list more because we've never seen anything like that before.
I would agree.
And that's really, really amazing stuff. And that first year when he did all that in 2011 was my first year on the beat. So it was literally my full-time job to cover that team. It was the first team I ever covered. And so I remember that season vividly well. I was at every game. I was on the sidelines for all the fourth quarters. I was doing interviews after the game with all the players and Les. And It was my first time, so that kind of leaves an impression. You do this for 35 years, like a lot of folks in Baton Rouge have done it. Like some stuff may, blend together. That was like right out of the chute for me. So for him, that's incredible. How do you feel back about Joe Burrow being number 4, and do you want to give a guess as to who's in front of him on this list? Because I think there are a lot of people in Baton Rouge say, best quarterback in the history of college football. But,
yeah, I don't feel like 4 is a bad spot. I think that's fair. I think that's perfectly fair. Because if we're talking about the last 25 years, I think 4 is fair.
Do you have a guess as to someone in front of him?
Maybe Ndamukong Suh.
Ndamukong Suh is number 3 on this list. Let's see his best season as a defensive tackle. 85 tackles, 21 TFLs, 12 sacks, and in the blurb they wrote about him, they played a Texas team that was averaging 43 points per game in the Big 12 championship game. And in that game, he had, in one game, 12 tackles, 7 TFLs, and 4.5 sacks. That is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's just
unbelievable.
Yeah,
from the defense. Like, it'd be one thing if he was on the edge and like he could, but he's like right in the middle of the line of scrimmage, and there's a million linemen in there, and they couldn't do it. And they were a high flying offense, and he just blew the whole thing up. So yeah, and Ndamukong Suh is in front of him.
Let's see. Last 25 years, maybe Vince Young.
Vince Young is not.
No. Okay.
2 from pretty close to that era.
Yeah. I'm guessing. I'm guessing they'll be maybe Heisman winners, but the thing is,
they both won the Heisman.
Okay. Yeah. So
one didn't get to keep it very long.
Oh, Reggie Bush.
Reggie Bush is number 2, and then the number 1, and I have a hard time arguing, is Cam Newton.
Yeah.
I was in Auburn in 2010 when Cam Newton did all that, and it was something to watch in person. And the biggest feather in Cam's cap in this blurb, and really when you talk about him, is that Auburn team that went undefeated and won the national championship wasn't really that good.
Yes.
And he was so good that it didn't matter. He threw for 30 touchdowns. He ran for 20 touchdowns. He ran for 1,473 yards and threw for a tick under 3,000. He was 6'5", 250. They played some close games. Like, Burrow never really played close games. They just beat the crap out of everybody. But Cam dragged a ragtag Gene Chizik team that went 8-4 the year before him and 8-4 the year after him, and completely fell off the face of the earth the next year. And Cam dragged that program, which was clearly not in very good shape, and won the national championship with him because he was that good. And so I don't have a huge issue with that. I'll take Burrow every single day of the week, and I'm sure Cam Newton would have been awesome on that Joe Burrow team. But I think the way that the Burrow team was constructed, he was the perfect fit because he was the ultimate chess master and he had all the best pieces. Like, so to have Chase and Jefferson and Marshall and Clyde, and then the offensive line that ended up having all 5 guys played in the NFL, and then to put the best game management quarterback that made tons of plays, but like, let's be honest, the best thing about Joe that year was he got the ball and immediately took one step and flipped it to somebody that was open for 12 yards. Like, and they did it constantly. And sometimes it was 12 yards and he got tackled, and sometimes he hit Chase on the slant and then nobody got him and he ran for 50. And when they needed to, they could hit the deep ball on command. But like, it was the fact that Joe knew what the defense was doing. The defense wasn't good enough to stick with the guys he had, and he was never going to miss. So it was just a perfect blend and a combination. Jayden had a great group as well. That offensive line had 4 guys drafted. He had 2 first-round wide receivers who have been stars in the NFL, and he added the dimension of, okay, maybe you cover Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors one time. You might cover him. I'll just run for 20. So that was really good too. I don't have any problem with Jayden going back there at 21. You start to look at some of the names on this list, and I'm not going to balk at Jayden Daniels being listed behind Ed Reed, being listed behind Vince Young. Tim Tebow's 8th on this list. Like Tim Tebow is the most decorated college football player of all time. He's 8th on this list. Like Travis Hunter at 9. That's more of a Tyron type deal where you're doing more than everybody else is doing. I mentioned Terrell Suggs earlier. Larry Fitzgerald caught a touchdown in 437 straight games at Pittsburgh, so I'm not going to complain about that. Andrew Luck at 12. Devontae Smith at 13. Here's a question. I don't even have a great answer for it. This year, I'm going to give you – who's got an average roster? I'm going to give you the roster of the –
South Carolina's got a pretty good roster.
No, that's an average roster. Yeah. That's great. They're not in Georgia's or Texas's category. They're not atrocious. You got South Carolina's roster. There's probably a couple second-round picks on that roster, whatever.
Yeah. Lauren Sellers could be
and I'm taking Sellers off.
Yeah. Okay.
You get Andrew Luck or Jayden Daniels to go run that team. Who would you take?
I would take Jayden Daniels.
So would I.
Yeah, because it's you need,
I don't know how you stop Jayden Daniels with college kids.
Right. And especially with South Carolina's roster, they're not going to be set up for the style of offense that Andrew Luck would really what he played well in at Stanford and then the NFL were pro style offenses and required good offensive line play.
Yeah, I think
and
Luck needed if he had the supporting cast, he could direct the symphony.
Right.
But Jayden could just kind of do whatever he wants.
Yes.
Like that Florida game, Andrew Luck doesn't have that game.
Yeah.
So great pro prospect, great quarterback. I think I would probably take Jayden. So I think it's an interesting list this time of year to get into that. And the LSU guys, I don't think were massively disrespected. I wouldn't have been stunned if Patrick Peterson or Glenn Dorsey showed up on that list. And I'm not sure that I think that the 3 wide receivers we listed are significantly better than Jamar Chase.
Who's like the bottom? So J. Nail's 21.
I don't think Johnny Manziel made the list.
Well, that's interesting.
Which is interesting, but I mean they lost a lot of games.
Yeah.
The bottom of the list is Quentin Nelson, offensive lineman from Notre Dame, who was great. Tyron at 24. Brock Bowers at 23, Sean Taylor at 22, speaking of dudes, and then you got Jayden and Aaron Donald
Brock
at 20.
Bowers is interesting. I mean, he definitely is one of the better tight ends we've seen in college football. So I do kind of wonder, too, when they make these lists of, like, are they going to make sure that they include a bunch of different positions, just to make sure that they're covering all the positions?
Possibly.
I don't know, but
I think towards the end of that list with Bowers and Tyron right there towards the end, you're just looking at, well, who else? Who do we even compare them to?
Yeah.
I don't know. So that means they're pretty special. But I did not take offense to the list.
Yeah.
It's cool for me kind of because if you go back like the All-Century team or something, you start rattling off the Bo Jacksons and Herschel Walkers. I can watch YouTube clips, but I saw a lot of these guys play with my own 2 eyes, being in the SEC and going to national championship games and whatnot. So it's cool because like when in 2000 I was 12, like very much able to lock in and see what I was looking at. So I don't have too big a problem with the list. That's at The Athletic if you want to go check it out. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.